another one's this, another one's that. Different kinds of materials he's picking up. And he goes up to him and he says, what are you doing? What's all this for? And the devil turns to him and says, these are what I use to, you seen cowboys, and they pull the bull towards them, or the whatever it is towards them. This is what we do. We get the chain, we throw it around your neck and we pull you towards us slowly. He says, okay. So why the differing sizes? What's this one? What's that one? What's this piece of string doing? Is that to tie your bag up? What's going on? He says, you see, this one is for the person that lives next door to you. This one is for the person down the street. The student sees a really big chain, a really heavy one. He says, what's this one? Who's this one for? This one? This one's for your teacher. He says, my teacher? Wow. Okay, so obviously it needs a lot of strength for you to pull him away, to kind of encourage him to come away from Islam. He says, oh, it takes a hell of a lot of strength. He says, okay. So out of interest, where's my one? How much strength do you need for me? The devil looks at him and says, for you? You're one of us, man. Forget you. All I do is do this and you come. You don't even need that string. So that's it. That's how they work. They pull us towards them. And it's not really how, physically they pull us, but they do attract us slowly.
What narration is that? Who was that was talking?
This was actually someone who saw it in a dream. A student who saw a dream of the devil with these different chains.
Okay.
And he went and related it to his teacher, and obviously the teacher kind of laughed at him, but anyway. Now, what would this Valhan do when he approaches you? I'll give you an example. There's a very well-known alim called Mushtaq Kermani, right? You may have heard of him, you may not have heard of him. He's some time now he's passed away. May Allah bless his soul. And he was such a high alim, but he would very rarely you'd see him wearing the clothes of an alim. He used to work undercover. He used to go around dressed as a shepherd. And what he would carry is, we call it a buff chair. It's like a picnic basket, but made of cloth. So he'd have a cloth, he'd put bread, he'd put some herbs in, some cheese in, he'd tie it up and he'd carry that with him where he would travel. And he'd always constantly travel. He wouldn't be in one city. He'd travel to meet new people, to try and guide them, to see if anyone has a problem or not, try and do his duty, but undercover. One day he was travelling towards Shiraz, and along the way you've got mosques like service stations over here, you've got mosques over there. And he stops off at one of the mosques, and he sees, wow, it's really busy, there's a lot of people. Maybe the alim here must be really well known. So let me just go in and see who it is and pray my prayer and then I'll be on my way. So he goes in and he sees, people are moving around, some people getting wudu, some people doing this, and he sees a spot right at the front that's empty, in the front line, VIP, dashes for it. He goes, he sits down, and then he hears someone saying, he turns around and he looks at the guy and he says so do you need some water? Is something wrong with your throat? The man's like, no, it's just you're sitting in my place. And I don't know whether you know this, but in Iran, normally in the front line they have places, like in school, you go and say, hey, that's my chair. And someone's like, is your name on it? I don't see your name on it. He's like, no, but I always sit here, that's my chair. You know what I mean? It's like that. So he comes and he's like, that's my place. And he's like, this is a masjid.
It's like a masjid sitting in the front seat of a car.
Exactly, shotgun. He says,
all by age.
All by age. He says, this is a private joke. And he says, look, the masjid of Allah, where you come to pray to Allah, doesn't have a my place, your place, shotgun. No, this is first come, first serve. Wherever you find a place, you sit. He goes, look, there's loads of places at the back. Go sit somewhere there. This man was annoyed. He was like, he walks up in a huff and puff. He finds somewhere to sit. The Ayatollah comes, everyone stands up. Ya Allah, ya Allah. He goes forward, and he's doing the adhan and iqamah and this, and he starts the prayer. For the first rak'at, this Mushtaq Kerman, he prays the first rakat along with them, Jama'at. All of a sudden, comes to the second rakat, when they stand up, you see Mushaq al-Kirmani from standing up, he then just finishes his prayer, does his prayer, and sits down. He sits down, he opens up his bokhche, his little picnic basket, and starts eating nuna pani. So he's sitting there like this, and he's just eating his bread and cheese. Yeah? In the middle of prayer. After the prayer finished, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Sorry.
Is that the next thing in the front?
Yeah.
In the cheese.
Yeah.
Very famous dude.
Well, he's famous, but no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
He finishes his prayer, everyone finishes their prayer, and the first voice you hear is the person who got kicked out of his place. What are you doing, you crazy man? What is this thing you're doing? Not only do you break away from the Ayatollah's prayer, but then, not only do you take my place, first he says, forget that, take my place. Not only do you break away from the prayer of the Ayatollah, forget that as well. But now you're eating bread and cheese in the middle of Jama'at? In the front line? What kind of a person are you? Who are you? You crazy old man, this, that, and then he's raving at him. Ayatollah sees that there's a big loud hurrah, everyone's like, oh my god, everyone starts talking, what's going on? He turns around and he says, excuse me, mister. And the other guy's story, he says, I'll deal with it. The guy sits down, he's all red in the face, he says, look, excuse me, mister. Sorry, who are you, where are you from? The man doesn't answer him, he's just eating his bread. He says, excuse me, I'm with you. Have you never prayed Jama'at before that you don't know what the rules are and so on and so forth? The man looks up and he says, I'll tell them. The Ayatollah was like, no, tell them what? Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Do you not understand the rules of Jama'at? And the man's like, I'll tell them. And the Ayatollah starts getting a bit angry. So I told them what? First answer my question, I'm talking to you. Do you even understand what I'm saying? That you're turning to me and saying, I'll tell them. Are you... The man says, I'll tell them. He goes, tell them. What do you want to tell them? What is it that you want to say? That you keep saying, I'll tell them. Tell us, what is it? He goes, well done. For the first rakat, you were superb, excellent. Concentration there, everything was perfect. But then, your prayer turned into a donkey prayer. And it was only good for yourself. Everyone's like laughing, like thinking, where is this crazy man coming and telling the Ayatollah, this big Ayatollah, that he's prayed a donkey prayer? What's a donkey prayer? So the Ayatollah says, sorry, what's a donkey prayer? Explain to me. He says, the first rakat, like I said, you were perfect. As soon as you stood up for the second rakat, your mind wandered off to back home, where you were, your house, and that you've got an old donkey, and that your donkey, because it's so old, it can't carry the weight that it used to carry. And that, it's going grey and this and that, it's weak. That you should kind of take this donkey and trade it in for a new one. So you spent the whole of the second rakat thinking of your old donkey and that you should trade it in. In the third rakat, you went to the market. You saw some donkeys, some nice fresh donkeys, young ones, strong ones, and you tried to sell your old one for a good price. So you looked at, you said, oh look, people come buy this donkey's really good. Don't look at him that he's old, he's got great beard, he's got loads of knowledge, great. And then you tried to sell it for a high price. So you made up any kind of rubbish, you made up all kinds of lies to sell your donkey for a high price. Which you did do. You sold it for a high price. You then went towards buying a nice young donkey that can carry the weight, right? What's going on, boys? You bought the donkey, fourth rakat, you're on your way home, and you buy some barley, some fresh barley, because obviously you can't feed the new donkey anything, it has to be something fresh, it has to be something good, because it has to grow. They're very hassas, they're very sensitive to, they're very sensitive to what they eat. If you feed an old donkey, whatever, it doesn't matter, feed him rubbish, it's okay. Feed a new donkey that, and he gets ill, I don't know, he might die, this, that, the other, so you've got to feed him good stuff so he grows big, continues to grow strong. So this was it. By the time you came to, your salam and everything, you handed over the reins to your son. You told him, son, feed him good stuff only. Don't feed him, the the outside of the watermelon. They feed him like the skin of the watermelon. Don't feed him none of that stuff. Treat him well, be careful of him, this and that, and then you handed him over. Everyone started laughing. The whole crowd, the whole Jamaat, the whole mosque is just creasing at this man, saying, "What a crazy old man! This one's hitting that one. What is this? Where did this guy even come from?" All this. The man stands up, closes his thing, and leaves. By the time everything settles down, they turn to see the Ayatollah. They see he's crying. They see he's crying. They say, "Aha, what's wrong? What, did he upset you? Let's go get him." He said, "Stop that man, stop him." They went to stop him, they see he's gone. He's gone. They come back, they say, "What's wrong? We'll go, we'll hunt him down, this, that, the other." He goes, "By Allah, whatever he said was true. I prayed a donkey prayer, and it was good for no one." This is the kind of bala, or the kind of punishment, the kind of trap that Valhan plays on you during a prayer. That you will think of anything and everything. What did I do in uni? What could I have done, made more profit or not? Could I have done this, could I have done that? He will do anything to make you forget your salat. Yeah? Question?
Bro, I think is that a true story, yeah?
Yeah.
This elderly guy that you're referring to, why did he not speak to the Ayatollah after the salah?
Because the Ayatollah said, "Tell me." He told them, "I'll tell them." He said, "Tell me." He said, "I'll tell them." He said, Tell, what do you want to say? As in, he gave him permission. And by doing this, he not only did he open the eyes of everyone else, but also the Ayatollah's eyes. The Ayatollah was I won't mention him because I know who it is, but I can't say his name for obvious reasons. But he was extremely high position. And to get that kind of a shock from some so-called shepherd, everyone looked at him as some old crazy man, he's a shepherd. To get that kind of a shock, it puts you in place, it makes you realise, hang on a second, number one, there's a lesson here, don't pray Jama'at behind anyone and everyone, because even very high people can make mistakes. But that's not my point. My point here is that, even an Ayatollah can make a mistake like that. If Valhan has the arrogance to whiz in and out of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam's legs and hands during his prayer, like I said, where's an Ayatollah? Where's me and you? As in, we have to be aware that he is there, and he is always going to be there. As soon as you make your niyat to do wudu for your prayer, he starts. Get wudu in a bit, the water's cold, wait for it to warm up, come back in 10 minutes. I don't know, you still got 4 hours, don't worry about it. This, that, I'll do it when I come home, there's got a lot of time, I'll be back by then. He comes up with a whole lot of excuses, and before you know it, you've missed your prayer. And like we said, we know what the worth of one rakat is, which I said at the beginning. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
This Valhan, is it like imaginative sort of metaphorical character, or is it something mentioned in the hadith?
It's very real. It's very real. When Imam Sajjad can see it whizzing in and out of his legs, they didn't have the curtain that we have over our eye. They were ma'soom.
But can't you just say that's shaitan instead of Valhan?
I said he's one of the children of shaitan. See, shaitan is not one person. You have the godfather, as they say, and then you have all his children. There's narrations that say for every one human being there's 2 devils. There's narrations that say that there's 1,000,000 devils per person. There's narrations that say there is 2 devils per person. Every time there's one person born, there's 2 devils born. But every time a person dies, those 2 devils live for years. So there's always more than 2 per person. There's mixed narrations, but that's why I'm saying how important it is. It's a very real threat, but we don't realise it. That's the problem.
Some people get assigned a weaker shaitan than another.
Yes, that's true. Some people get assigned a weaker shaitan than others, and that as you progress in your religion, in your iman, it does change. You're right, you're absolutely right. For instance, like I said, those chains are metaphorical for the different levels of devil. Some people need just to be done this, some people need to be come